we going on? Let's see. It says we're offline, but that does happen from time to time, Ryan. So just let me check. Hello, guys. I hope I'm live because I... Are we live? Hello. I think we're live, but...
I think we're alone.
Yes, we are. We're live. And hello, everybody. We are live from New York, Nueva Yorka. And I'm sorry that I'm not looking at the camera. I have to get just a couple of things set up here. No, it's not going there, is it? Ryan, I'm taking the wheel just for a second.
Coronavirus. Dad.
Okay, Ryan, it's all yours. Hello. Ryan, you want to roll the... As a matter of fact, Ryan, why don't you show yourself? Ryan? What's that? Okay, don't worry about it then. So everybody, let's get going. Let's start the show, Ryan. Let's get going, guys. Oh, I want to see this. Go ahead.
You know what they're going to do? They're going to get...
Welcome to Anatomy of an Entrepreneur. I think I need to turn down my mic just a teeny bit, a tad, like that. Welcome. It's such a great day today. We've had such an awesome day. It's been busy. It's been so busy, and I love busy days. I do not like being idle. And I thought it might be a little idle this morning, but it got so crazy. Actually, it couldn't have been. We streamed a couple of shows today. We have a great show tonight for you. We're getting more calls. I got a call from California today from a major women's magazine who asked me if we could help them with a live stream. It's like, I said, how did you find us? They go, oh, the internet. It's absolutely crazy what's going on, the kind of calls we're getting. And we got two other calls, one from a music venue and one from another organization. So I feel so blessed that this is what's going on. I'm not happy with what's going on with COVID-19, but I am happy that I'm in the right place at the right time. I've been here for about 4 years now. I think before we get started with our guests, John and Mark Cronin of the famous John's Crazy Socks, I want to start with our good friend, Dr. V. And Dr. V is going to talk all about COVID for the next several minutes, but she's going to really focus today on, as she says, the kiddies. Welcome, Dr. V.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Sounds like it. I'm good.
Yeah? Are you busy?
Getting there. We're probably opening up our office in the next week or two.
Does it make you nervous or concerned?
A little bit, unless the governor changes things. But yeah, we're getting ready. I'm excited to see people again.
Yeah,
but there's a little anxiety.
Yeah. My big highlight of the day is doing my power walks for like 5-6 miles. And I actually, oh, look, there's a person. And I take my soccer ball Wilson with me wherever I go.
Aw.
Yeah. So why don't you tell us what's going on today?
So I just wanted to touch upon a subject that I think is creating a lot of fear in this already sort of fearsome time, and that's this new pediatric inflammatory syndrome that's making a lot of the news lately. So basically, our belief in COVID was that children were largely spared, and there's lots of theories about why kids were not getting sick from this virus. But this has by and large been a disease of adults 18 to 95. We're starting to see this new syndrome in children who have tested positive for COVID, where they're having 5 days of high fevers. They start getting swelling and rashes. And then we see a lot of multi-system breakdown, and these children are in the ICU. And a lot of people are fearful of this because, again, we thought the kids were largely spared, and so a lot of us, including me as a parent of young children, sort of took on the risk of what my daily exposure was, but didn't really have to think about how it might affect my kids because kids weren't getting sick. But I do want to stress that there have been 3 deaths in the greater New York City area, one actually in Suffolk County, but it is still an exceedingly rare entity. In other words, we haven't really been testing children that with that rate of frequency. We know in general kids make up about 1 to 5% of all coronavirus diagnoses countrywide. Out of these 3 children who have died, unfortunately, of this inflammatory syndrome, there are now over 100 cases who have presented in New York City. But you sort of need to look at that with a grain of salt. So if we assume in a city of 8 million people, children make up about 20% of that, children under 18. And so if you think that children are being infected with coronavirus at the same rate as adults, about 20%, which again, these are all major estimates. Kids are likely asymptomatic carriers. So if you're saying, let's say, of the 20% of 8 million, so maybe 500,000 kids could have become ill with coronavirus in the last 2 months. We're seeing
500,000?
again a very gross estimate. 500,000 children. If we think 20% of all children in New York City may have gotten the coronavirus, if they make up 20% of the population there, it would be roughly 500,000. And so out of that, we're seeing 100 cases of this severe syndrome and 3 deaths. So, when you look at it from that, that's a pretty low number, but it's something that we do need to be aware of because we've not really thought about kids becoming, particularly sick with this, just like any other virus that they may see, over the winter months. So it's something to think about in the back of your mind if your child is presenting with, particularly high fevers over 5 days. They are presenting with vomiting or diarrhea. If you start to notice any swelling of the hands and feet or rashes, you definitely want to call your pediatrician sooner than later and have that checked out.
Oh, you stopped talking. I'm sorry. I was looking at the Facebook feed and you're still talking. I don't hear you. I'm sorry. Okay, I got a couple questions.
Sure.
There are 2 things that I've heard. Number one, I got to write the other one before I forget because I'm getting old. First one is, one of the things I've heard is that kids don't get affected as much or as traumatically as adults. True or false?
True.
Expand.
Well, we know that the majority of viruses that children see are other types of coronaviruses. And so one theory is that having been exposed to those much milder versions of coronaviruses may be somewhat protective, similar in the way to adults getting a flu shot every year. We know that the flu shot is not going to cover necessarily the exact strain in a given year, but it's still protective against whatever strains may be out for that particular flu season. So there may be some of that at play with children. So no, in general, they are not getting as sick as adults.
Gotcha. Question 2. I've also heard some news stories and done a little reading that there are some rare diseases that children are getting that are related or linked to coronavirus. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Right. So that's this inflammatory syndrome that we don't know a lot about.
You spoke about.
Right. But we do know that the majority of the children presenting with this inflammatory syndrome have tested either positive for the coronavirus in the previous 3 to 4 weeks, or they are testing positive for the antibodies when they present ill to the hospital.
How dangerous is that? These rare infections or viruses?
I think if they're caught early and they're resuscitated appropriately and they otherwise don't have other comorbidities, meaning other severe medical problems, I think that the vast majority of the children can be treated, but we still don't know. I mean, there's still children on the breathing machines in New York City right now with this inflammatory syndrome. So there's still a lot to be discovered in the upcoming weeks.
So I know we don't have a lot of time left for you, but I do have a couple more questions. One is, it's springtime, summer's around the corner. What are parents going to do? How are we going to prepare ourselves?
Right. And I think that, the other side of all of this is how long can you keep children from socialization, right? And so there's that element of they were already missed how many months of school. we don't know what the status of summer camps are yet, but there is definitely going to be a downside to keeping kids away from each other for a prolonged period of time. Kids need to socialize; they need to learn, their place in the world and how to interact with people, especially at the younger ages. So I think that if you're in a family where you don't live with anyone high risk, you have to look at the cost benefit analysis of reintegrating your children sort of into normal social situations, and it's going to be different for every family. You just need to continue to be vigilant with hand washing and distancing where you can, and not taking on extra risk. But I think that especially when it starts to get warm out, we live on the North Shore. People want to go to the beach, people want to see their friends, and I think we just need to be smart about it.
Yeah, but the things I think about are like swimming pools. Is it because there's so much, there's so much chlorine in a pool that we're safe? Or what if you're in a saltwater pool? And I don't know, there's just so many things. Oh, my kids are going to summer camp and they're sitting at a picnic table with other kids. I don't know. I'd be very concerned about so where's the process? Where's the guidelines? Where's all this stuff?
Right. So some of the local programs are putting out their guidelines now for summer camps, and they're going to keep the children in much smaller groups and in very confined spaces and numbers. So, for instance, they may only socialize with the same 4 or 6 children for the entirety of the summer, and they'll stagger the kids coming in and out and the kids who go in and out of the pool and things like that. So I think limiting your exposure as much as possible is still going to be very relevant. But parents need childcare as businesses open. Phase 1, phase 2, we need our kids to be looked after someplace. Not everyone's going to have one person in their home. So these are risks. These are calculated risks that we're going to have to take.
Right. Well, you always bring us great information, and I'm looking forward to you continuing to bring us relevant information every week and questions. And if anybody does have a question out there, please feel free to ask. Even if you ask it and Dr. V's not on, we can still answer in the comments if you place something in the comments, and you'll get that.
Absolutely.
So again, thank you, and we're going to see you next week, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome, Dr. V. I hope to talk to you soon.
All right, likewise.
Okay, we'll talk to you soon. Thanks, bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Anyway, so there you have it. There's our little coronavirus update, and we're going to be bringing you those updates every week. We think it's important. The community needs to know what's going on. They need relevant information. People have tons of questions, and you need to ask those questions. And part of the beauty of this platform is that it's not passive TV. You have the opportunity to ask questions, be part of the show, make comments. We want to hear your concerns. We want to hear your questions, because we all probably have the same questions you do. Maybe we don't even think of them at the same time. Anyway, with that in mind, we now have on our next guests. I am so happy that we have the famous duo of John and Mark of John's Crazy Socks. Welcome to the show, guys.
Hey, Cliff. How you doing?
How you doing?
We're doing great. I'm doing great over here. Oh, well, I'm doing the best I can, actually. To say great is really not fair. But I am doing very well under the circumstances, let's put it that way. And I'm so happy to have you guys back on the show. I think about you often and all the good stuff you do for our community and the business that you've grown. Do me a favor, before we get started and talk about how we're adapting, give us just a little overview of your story, because I think it's important that people get to know that story.
Well, I agree. Origin stories matter, right? Because they create the DNA for whatever comes after it. And for us, it really was a story of adapting and figuring things out, right?
Right. I think I too, because I know I am saying
Right? I'm listening.
I'm sorry. I was just saying that I found this.
Well, our story starts back in the fall of 2016. And where
I'm at school. Well, at that time, I was in school.
with school.
I went to Hunter High School.
So local, we're in Huntington, he's in
Right.
Huntington High School. But John has a differing ability, right? You have Down
I
syndrome?
do. I had Down syndrome.
So-
Down syndrome and never held me back.
No, it doesn't. So that let John stay in the school system until he turned 21. And in the fall of 2016, he entered his last year in school. Um, like everybody else, was trying to figure out what is he going to do next.
Hmm.
What were you doing at?
I like a job, program, and school.
See anything you like?
No, I don't look this option.
And the reality is there aren't great options available for people with different abilities. But John here, he's a natural entrepreneur.
Right.
So what do you tell me you wanted to do?
I said I want to go into business with my dad. I want to build a business.
Right? If you don't see something you like, go and create it. John says,
I said,
let's go into business together.
right. I love it.
So I say, I got 3 sons. John's the youngest of them. And this is one I can work with. Right?
Yeah.
Um,
Very good.
And so we had to come up with an idea. We had a couple of ideas. What was one of them?
I was in a food truck.
A food truck. And how'd you get that idea?
I got the from the movie Sam and Fire.
Right? So he comes and says, let's start a food truck. And we were thinking about that for a while, right?
I did.
But we ran into a problem.
We can cook.
Yeah, we can't cook.
Actually, we did.
Yeah, well, we can cook a little, right? But then right before Thanksgiving, what'd you tell me?
I said I want that crazy stuff. Why socks is fun. I love being creative. I love being always naming being me. I want to have my kind of life.
Yeah. So John had worn socks all his life. And that's a good way to find a business. If there's something you love, chances are other people are going to love it too.
Absolutely.
And we didn't have anything, right? We bootstrapped it. We got started for less than $1,000. And I think that's one of the challenges for entrepreneurs of don't talk about what you don't have, look at what you do have.
Right.
So we set up a website, right? Built it in the Shopify platform. We got some inventory, not much. The only marketing we did was to set up a Facebook page, and we made videos using a cell phone.
Yeah, we did.
And who was in those videos?
I am. I talk about stocks.
Talking about socks. And we noticed something. Those videos started getting passed around and shared. What day did we open?
We opened a Friday, December 9, 2016.
We were very fortunate. We got a flood of orders the first day, or certainly it felt like a flood of orders. We got 42 orders the very first day.
Wow.
And almost all of them were local, which made sense, right? You were in Huntington High School.
I did.
We lived in Huntington. We had temporary office space in Huntington. So what did we do with those first orders?
I decided I want to do a home delivery.
So we got red boxes, put the socks in the boxes.
I
What else we put in?
we put in 100 kisses
Candy.
and candy, and I put a sticky note I wrote.
John wrote thank you notes. We loaded up the car and we drove around. John, you were knocking on doors, right?
I did. I love it.
And there were times it'd be 10 o'clock at night and John's knocking on a door, lucky not to have a shotgun answering them.
Of
Just
course.
saying, it's just John with your socks. And how did people respond?
Customers loved it, and they put it on social media, get the word.
So that's how we started. And we learned a couple of things. One, people want to buy socks.
And two, I buy stuff to me, and they relate to me.
They like buying socks from John.
And I feel like this back of 5% pledge to the Olympics.
They liked the fact we had pledged 5% of our earnings to the Special Olympics. They liked the personal touch. And we learned something else, something that surprised us. We immediately started getting letters and email talking about how John was an inspiration.
Oh, God.
John's John, but
And,
people saw him as very important, particularly among communities of people with different abilities. So that's how we got started.
And in the first year, you did like $1 million in business.
Our first year, we did $1.7 million in business.
And can you tell me what you did last year? Which was your 4th year?
Our third year, we were down some. We were better than that. Well, the second year, we did $5.5 million. Last year was between those two. We'll leave it at that.
That's fantastic, though. It's pretty amazing. Yeah, but that's the way
We've been
business
very
goes.
fortunate.
Yeah,
We've
I
been,
love it.
you know, we've created, we think, a compelling model because we've created a social enterprise. And I was talking about this the other day with some folks online, including Eric Alexander from Vision Long Island. People during this crisis are asking, where are their dollars going? For example, today there's an article about how small businesses are changing their banks in droves because the banks ignored them. Many of them, the larger banks,
Right.
ignored small businesses during the PPP
Yep.
process. And the social enterprise takes a different approach. The social enterprise says you have both a social mission and a business mission, that you have to answer to all your stakeholders, not just shareholders, but you also have to answer to your employees, your customers, and your community. For us, you know, our social mission, our social enterprise is really based on four things: inspiration and hope,
And give it back.
giving back,
Stocks you can love.
stocks you can love,
Make it personal.
making it personal. Um, the business and the social aspects have to feed off of each other, and you can't do one without the other. Um, if all we did was sell socks, you wouldn't be talking to us. We'd be one of yet another gazillion sock companies. And at the same time, if all we did was have a nice father-son story and said we'd give back, but we didn't run a good business, you wouldn't talk to us either.
Right.
You got to do both. But as consumers are asking, who am I giving my money to? What are you doing with my money? The social enterprise can answer those questions.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. And the way you've handled your business is why you're doing so well. But let's fast forward a little bit. Now, all of a sudden, this COVID-19 thing comes in. What happens?
Right. I'm old, so I remember watching those Monty Python episodes where they'd bring in and somebody would say, nobody ever expected the Spanish Inquisition.
Right.
Well, how do you know, I understand there were people years ahead saying, given the interconnectedness of society and the way viruses work, we're all vulnerable, but it's a hard thing to plan for. It has thrown, we're like everybody else, right? The virus has thrown us for a loop, and it's required us to change. And so you figure out, what do you do? And to me, it's make sure you stay focused on your mission and on your values, and then adapt. So we've done a number of things, right? What's our overall mission?
Spreading happiness.
So we want to keep spreading happiness. We do what we can to make that happen. So one of the things we do is once a week, John holds an online dance party.
I did. I had it. We had it today.
We had 170 people in that
I
dance
watched.
party. We 3 nights a week we do a Facebook live show. It is not nearly as well produced as your show,
It's not really.
but called Spreading Happiness, and we just spend a half an hour just spreading a little joy, sharing some smiles. John tells some jokes that
Yeah, I don't curse that.
don't encourage that. Yeah, jokes that'll convince him he should keep his day job. We one of the things that we're always doing is showing what people with different abilities can do. One way we do that is we do tours. Well, we can't do tours of our facility now, so we've moved those online, and
Oh, great.
that's similar to what you're finding. It opens opportunities. So we've had people join us from Australia, from Scotland. We had a class from Kansas join us. We're going to have a group from Houston join us for an online tour. So it opens and creates some new possibilities. We do a
Absolutely.
lot of We do a lot of speaking engagements. All that's been closed down.
Yeah.
But now we're moving those online and people are moving those online. So we're doing your show tonight. Tomorrow
Right.
morning, we are speaking as part of the Social Media Week conference. That was going to be a big conference in New York City. They've moved that online. On Saturday, uh, I'm speaking to an online conference for Special Fathers Network. Next week, we're speaking to a group from Connecticut, a self-advocacy group from Connecticut. We're speaking, the Massachusetts Down Syndrome Association has moved their conference online. The National Down Syndrome Study has moved their conference online. So you keep finding ways to adapt. We did something else. We wanted to help and contribute. Um, we did. There's not much we can do. We sell socks. So we designed healthcare superhero socks um, to say thank you and to recognize the frontline health workers
Uh-huh.
and to raise money to support them. So we released our healthcare superhero sock, and $5 from every pair is going to the American Nurses Association's Coronavirus Relief Fund. And our This Superhero Wears Scrub socks,
Right.
and that's $5 from every pair is going to the Good Samaritan Hospital, to their COVID-19 relief fund. So the money's going directly to support frontline workers. And so far, we've raised over $25,000 for those two organizations.
Wow, that's awesome. Do people
Um,
find socks essential?
I don't think socks are essential, or if they are, I mean, what we sell is not essential. Um, there are no sock emergencies with what we sell.
Not
There,
today.
you know, if you got a sock emergency, go to the nearest store that sells socks. What we sell is an odd product, in a way. It's a luxury item, but it's an inexpensive luxury item. It's a necessity in the sense that most people wear socks, but it's also a gift item that you can highly personalize. We at any given time will have 2,000 different socks. So if you have somebody you love who's a math nerd, we got math socks for you. If you have somebody you love who loves their dog, not only do we have dog socks, but we probably have the breed that your person loves. So you can make a very personal connection. And we see people do that. Um,
How much of
so in
your
that way,
business, how much of your business was online before the
it's
coronavirus?
100% online. I mean,
Oh,
we've done occasional pop-up shops, um, but otherwise everything is online.
okay. So it's
And
not going to
and
change the
that
percentage of online.
it creates a challenge for us
What are some of the
because,
challenges now?
well, the challenge all along is we're trying to create a personal connection, and yet we do that selling online. So how do you make a personal connection? In one way is from the first day, what goes in every package?
Every package get they get your egg candy.
Thank you note candy. Um, the packing slip will have a sticker on it with the picture and the name of the person who picked your order, so that you know there are real people here. And you also know, when you support us, that we hire people with different abilities. So we've got a roster of 22 people, 19 of whom have a different ability. Um,
Right.
Today, the challenge comes because sales are down for all clothing. You know, if you're worried, and listen, there are 30 million Americans who have lost their jobs. If you're worried where your next paycheck is coming from, if you're worried where your next meal is coming from, and nobody can predict with any certitude of where this virus is going, well, you got to worry about putting food on the table before you worry about buying a pair of Mona Lisa socks. Um,
I
and we
actually bought
reckon
those.
They are very cool socks.
I bought those for a gift.
There you go. Well, thank you very much, right?
Thank you.
I think I bought the whole line of like artists.
They are beautiful looking socks. The Van Gogh Starry Night
Yeah,
socks, girl with the pearl earring.
yeah,
We have some Gauguin socks. Um, we got something for everybody there.
yeah. Where do you see it all going? What do you think is going to happen? Do you have any idea? Like, is it starting to pick up for you? What kind of, I have so many questions. Go ahead.
Well, it depends what you're asking about where it's going. For us, we're entering the slowest time of our year. It turns out people don't buy stocks in the summer. Um, and we're very gift oriented. So people buy like crazy, no pun intended, um, come the holiday season. It's a tough trial for us to get through when we didn't have a great spring, which kind of funds the summer. So we keep making adjustments so that we'll be okay come the holiday season. A larger question is you could ask, where is retail going? And you could ask, where are we going with this virus? Um, there's so much uncertainty. There is understandably a lot of debate over what the government is telling us. Well, and that's important. But I can tell you, we've been considered an essential business in the eyes of New York, of the state, because we're a fulfillment operation. But we closed down in early March and really reduced it to a true family business. So the only people going into the office were John, my wife, and myself. We didn't think it was safe otherwise. Um, we have now brought back some of our employees who were so happy to get back to work.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but we're limiting that because we don't want you can't have too many people. Everybody's wearing masks, everybody's wearing gloves, you got to distance. But over that time, we could tell traffic has begun to pick up. We came into Huntington tonight, and traffic was backed up from 25A to the top of New York Avenue up on High Street. So
Where are they
nobody's
going?
lifted anything, but people are out. More people are going out. At the same time, if the governor tomorrow said all restaurants could open, do you think all restaurants would open?
No, and I don't think many people will go to them.
Would you go to a restaurant?
No.
If the Mets tomorrow said, we're playing at Citi Field, you can come for free, how many people are going to go?
Not many.
And, I listen a lot, like everybody else in this country, I think, to Dr. Fauci, because he knows what he's talking about.
Absolutely.
He's warning us. This is going to come back in the fall. And it's now that we can reduce the effect that we'll see in the fall. And we've got to have testing and tracing in place. I don't know what's going to happen.
Unfortunately, there are a lot of people who have influence who are not listening to Dr. Fauci. And that's the concerning part.
It is. It is. You have to know what you know and admit what you don't know.
Right.
We've made mistakes. You can't undo those, but we can learn from them. And it's very hard on businesses. How do you plan? Right? How do you plan on what's happening? So we will add cloth masks. We're designing those so that they're fun and they're happy. Will people be wearing masks in the future? Are they not going to wear masks? Are we going to meet a need? I think people will be wearing masks for a long time. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, so it's tough in that way for businesses. What we keep looking for are opportunities to serve our customers, opportunity to help in the community, opportunity to keep carrying out our mission.
Are you
And our whole
noticing?
business,
Are you noticing?
our whole business is based on the more we can do for others, the better off we are.
Right. Are you noticing more requests, more interest? By the way, Ryan, you're doing. Our technical director is doing such an amazing job because I like my eye is wandering. He is doing so much stuff on the fly right now. It's freaking amazing. And Ryan, if you wanted to bring in any other kind of slides, like B-roll, whatever you find, go for it. I completely trust you. Anyway, Mark, are you finding renewed interest? People are starting to make requests again. Is business starting to pick up a little bit more? What are you noticing at this point?
Well, we're not finding that. Now, I have to have a caveat that in our particular niche, even without a virus, we would be going into a slower time. But there are other things that we notice, other parts of our business. We do custom stocks for organizations. That business has fallen off the table because people would buy those frequently to give out at various gatherings, or Microsoft would buy 5,000 pair for a conference they were having. Well, those conferences are not being held. We do a lot of speaking engagements. Everything that we had planned into the summer has been canceled. Some of them moving online. We have not been receiving the type of request we would receive for the fall. We have one conference or combination conference and celebration in Madrid in mid-September. They haven't canceled it, but they're not sure what they're going to do. So in that sense, we are seeing business that are still in a wait and see. People just don't know what's going to happen, and that uncertainty is very bad for Christmas. I mean, for business.
That's rough. And then how do you even project? Like, how can you project where you're going to be in a year or 2 years?
It's very hard. I look at corporations issuing their projections and their quarterly updates, and it's a joke. How do they know? Are we reaching the end of this? In New York, and it's been terrible here. We all know people have passed away. We all know people have been sick and suffered. My aunt's in a nursing home. 39 people in that nursing home have died. Um, but we're coming down here. But in places like Texas, the death rates are still climbing.
Right.
So are we reaching an end? Or is there going to be a lull and come back in the fall the way Dr. Fauci projects? Um, it's hard for us as individuals to deal with this uncertainty, and it's hard for businesses. So as a
Right.
business, you have to be able to move quickly. You have to be able to adapt. Um, and you have to really be close and listening to your customers and what your customers want and need. Not what you need, not what you think, but what your customers want and need.
Hey, John.
Yeah.
So, what kind of things do you do that you know that your customers like?
Um.
Well, what do the customers like getting? You send notes,
Oh
right?
yeah. Sorry. I sent a note and send socks,
You make videos, right?
Right.
videos, I think videos.
Right? You do that. So that's one way we connect with customers is we get special requests, or you get a special order, or we get people posting on our social media. John makes thank you videos for them.
I did.
Right? You like doing that?
I love it.
Right.
So, John, you really like to make people happy. That's like a big job for you at the business, right?
And I want to make people happy. I want show the world. I'll show the world I can do.
What? What's your title?
My tire keep having those.
Chief Happiness Officer. And in
John,
fact,
that is
yesterday, somebody asked John, what was the first thing you wanted to do when the quarantine was over?
I point out that I will go back to speaking engagement because I miss the speaking engagement because it's very important thing because I have to go out showing the world and let people to know about us and
But you like standing in front of those crowds. You're a bit of a ham, right?
yeah. I have to get cloned.
Clone you, huh? Like we did an event. It's the only public event we've done now in 2+ months at Good Sam a week and a half ago, almost 2 weeks ago. We wanted to thank the staff. And what could we do? We brought socks and we brought an $8,000 donation check. And John usually goes to things like that. He's hugging people and taking pictures, and there we were. Stay back. Everybody, wear your mask, wear your gloves, wear your gown. Um, yeah, it's a
John,
different
I'm
world.
thinking that working with your dad is like the best, right? It's the best. But what's the
I'm
best
sorry. I keep
He said that working for Dad is the best.
with dad,
Well, first
not
of all, we
for?
don't work for you. We're partners.
We're partners.
Yeah.
Partners in crime.
Partners in crime.
John, what's the best part of working with your dad?
That's the best thing work today that I like doing home deliveries. Just during the coronavirus. I like waving people all that.
Well,
And
he asked, what do you like about working with your dad?
my dad. I love working with my dad because it's so much fun because I like to be like a partner.
It's really nice.
I can tell you a story though once, Cliff. We were, John's in charge of giving tours. And we had a particular businessman in our place who was making a pitch, and we didn't really like him. He didn't understand what we were about, so we wanted him out of the building. But John's now giving him a tour, and I kind of interrupted the tour a little to move it along. And John looks at me and says,
Oh my God.
I have to talk to you. And he takes me back to the office when this guy leaves, and he sits down and he says, whose name is on that sign? And I say, your name. And whose name is on this? And he held up a book with the logo on it. Well, I say, your name. That's right, it's my name. Don't interrupt my tours again.
That's pretty funny.
Dad,
You were good. You were right.
Dad, you can't push us up.
I did. It's a good story.
It's not good stuff.
It's a good story.
Mark, what's the best part of working with John?
Um, Two things. One, it's such a joy as a dad to watch your son, and I get to do this with 3 boys, but to watch them find their way and grow and develop and make their mark on the world. And I definitely get to see that with John. And the other thing is that no matter what situation we find ourselves in, we're still in a startup phase, so things get tough sometimes. John has this great spirit of remembering what matters, of showing a way forward, and of believing. He's very optimistic and is willing to work to make things happen. And that's a wonderful partner to have.
Right.
I'm a lucky man.
That's very cool. Well, I love having you guys on. Oh, that's really nice. I love having you guys on, and I think we want to continue to follow your journey. And I want to hear in a year from now how business is booming and that V-shaped economy really happened.
Well, That's the first thing. You're optimistic. A year from now, we'll still be here.
You'll be here. You'll be here. And we'll
Right,
have you
buddy?
back on before then.
It is, we've made a big promise to people. We've made a promise about the way you can conduct business. We've made a promise about showing what people with different abilities can do. And we've really benefited from many good things. And that creates a tremendous sense of obligation and responsibility. We can't let people down. We can't fail. We have to find a way to succeed.
Absolutely. That's the mind of an entrepreneur. That's the true mind of an entrepreneur, that you just don't give up.
Failure is not an option.
No, I've been doing this now for about 4 years, and I knew what was going to happen. Like, I knew that we were going to start really growing after a while, but I could never have planned this. But I feel so fortunate and so blessed of what is going on with this business now. It's almost, I can't believe it. And it's about hard work and making your own luck. And you guys have done that.
Well, that's part of it. We speak with a lot of entrepreneurial groups who've spoken at universities, and people don't necessarily want to talk about luck. There's a certain amount of luck that's involved, but you have to be in a position where you can have that luck, and then you have to know what to do with it.
Yep.
And clearly you are.
Yep.
That's a good thing.
Yep. Well, we appreciate you guys being on.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having us. If there's something we can do to help you, you just let us know.
I really love
What?
12 years. 12 years ago, when I won, I knew was there.
I was there when you were born? Yes, I was.
Yeah, I love it.
Right? I mean, there's some possibilities, right? We didn't know John was going to be born with Down syndrome.
Right.
On day 3 of his life, John had intestinal bypass surgery. Before he was 3 months old, he had open heart surgery.
I love my life.
Who would have said? Who would have predicted? But that's the thing. If you just show up every day and you keep moving forward,
That's half the
look
battle.
what happened. Now where's John? He's testified twice before Congress. He's spoken at the UN. You've introduced the Knicks,
Yes, I love my life.
right?
How cool. Yeah.
Very fortunate.
I love my
Awesome.
life, Dad.
So
Okay.
thank you again, and we'll see you guys again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cliff.
Thank you. And that does it for us for another episode of Anatomy of an Entrepreneur, the show that's migrating to the relevant information of Corona and how we're adapting to it. Next week, we're having another show. We'll be on next Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. We hope that you'll join us. You can always watch the on-demand on YouTube or on our Streamcast Network Facebook page. You can even leave comments after the show is over, and we will answer your comments. So have a great week, everybody. Stay safe, stay home, do the right thing, and never hit your mother hard. And we will see you next week.